I've got a lot more great questions about entering tournaments, and I should have recorded me creating this tournament, but I wanted to give you an example of a more complex one, and that is the Billy Hicks tournament here in Central Kentucky that's hosted by Scott County and Great Crossing high schools in that district. So it's a little bit more complex. So let's just take a real quick look. So I figured since it's Billy Hicks and he's affiliated with Scott County so long that we would put it on Scott County High School's schedule page. So I'm in a Scott County now. I'm going to go to December. I believe it starts the 10th and goes through the 14th. Now, what makes this one interesting is that it's essentially a girls tournament and a boys tournament, and it alternates. And so let's just start here, 10th. And I don't have any filters down here. I just thought we'd leave it open so we can see both the girls and the boys. But you can see the girls starts the 10th and goes through the 14th. And what I did in this case, since you can't put both genders in the tournament, I set it up as two completely separate tournaments. And it's pretty cool. So let's go back here and you can see every day, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're playing on those days because they alternate every day, and I'll show you that in a second. But since I created the tournament on the girls, I made the start the 10th and the end the 14th to keep it cohesive and keep everything like the officials and everything in one group, scores and everything. So let's dig in and look and see about the girls first, since they start first. So you can see here, I'm going to click on the tournament. I can tell it's a home tournament because it's in bold. I can tell it's a tournament because there's really no information in this little block like where it's at and so forth. So we know that this is a Scott County tournament. Um, I named it the Billy Hicks Classic Girls Basketball Tournament presented by Bluegrass Orthopedics, as you can see there. Very importantly, have the assigner group. I did that when I created the tournament. Basically, when you create the tournament, as I've shown you in the previous videos, you enter this information in these top three blocks. When it starts the 10th at 6 o'clock, the first game, and it ends on the 14th at 4. Now, there is a UK game, I believe, during that time, and so they're not really sure the exact times and how that will work out on the 14th, but that can always be adjusted later. So once I created that tournament, then of course I had my teams like I've showed you in the previous. You see here that I've uploaded they have what they call the girls line schedule. And you can see here, it's just a PDF, and it essentially what I did was took this line schedule, and you can see the days here for the girls, the 10th, 12th, and the 14th. And so I was able to enter these right off the bat here. And then these here would all be the following games in the following 2 days would just be TBA, TBAs, and you'll see that here in a second. So there's my 8 teams: Grant, Great Crossing, Jackson, so forth, Lewis, etc. And we go through here, and now this one was a little trickier because what they do, if you notice in that line schedule again, they play 2 games each day, 2 at Great Crossing and 2 at Scott County. And so if you look back at the tournament, I was like, well, how am I going to get, I'm on Scott County schedule, so that's fine. But it was actually pretty simple. You see here, I've got 6 games at each. And so all I had to do to get Great Crossing in there was to go to resources and sites, not opponents, but sites. And then I added Great Crossing High School there as a site. So let's go back to the schedule again. And once I had that site in there and I added the games, you can see I have 6 at each site. And again, there's the games there that schools haven't accepted them yet, but we're quite a ways out for that. But what's important is here, and I like this, is that all the games, all the officials, who the assigner should be able to see all of these games, all these times, even the TBAs. You want to go ahead and load in the following day's TBAs just again so the assigners can see it. And we don't want, and here's what I would do. Now, I'm being pretty blunt. If I was hosting this tournament, I would contact the other 17. Well, I guess it's 6 teams in this case, since it's sort of a Great Crossing Scott County hosted thing. So I would contact these individual schools, coaches, ads, whatever, and just say, look, don't touch it. don't try to enter any games. They're all entered. The host will take care of advancing them and so forth. And again, tell your assigners, don't touch it, because the assigners can't even build a tournament. And so what we're seeing in volleyball, just as a reminder, is that the assigner will go in after a school like this has made this nice tournament, and they'll enter an individual match outside of the tournament. So we don't want that to happen. That's how we, honestly, that's how we got a lot of these dupes for volleyball. And so once you've got these entered, say if we had to shift the game times around, you can edit the individual games like this, and so forth. Pretty simple. Um, then, at the end of this day or early in the morning the next day, or as they advance, I guess you could simply go in here and click the edit and change the TBAs to the exact teams that advanced. And it's fairly straightforward. It's taking a little time here, but you can go in here and change the advancing teams, and it only lists the 8 teams that are in the tournament, which is nice. Now, there's some confusion over entering scores. It's been said that only the host can enter scores, and that's not the case. What looks different to a visiting team, and let's just pick. I'll tell you what. I'm going to show you what it looks like to Grant County. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to schools, and I'm going to pick Grant County. And I'll show you what it looks like on Grant County's schedule, because there is some confusion over who can enter these games. So you see here, now you can tell it's an away tournament for Grant County because it's not bold, and this is where I think the confusion is coming in. The score boxes aren't here, obviously, because this is a series of several games. And so Grant County would then, let's see if they got a game on this day. I think they do. So let's go back down here. On game day, the score boxes will pop up over here, just like it would on that main schedule page, and any team can enter those scores. And I think that's the confusion. I think the confusion is the fact that when Grant County looks at this, the score boxes aren't here. They have to, the visiting teams would have to go to their schedule, click on the tournament, and then you can enter scores. And honestly, that's all the visiting team should do is enter. They can enter scores just like you did in our system. It doesn't matter if it was home or, whoever the home or away team, either one of them can enter the score. So I wanted to clarify that for sure. So again, visiting schools, and this is with volleyball tournaments or anything else, the score boxes won't be here for you to enter. Click on the tournament, the away tournament, and then you scroll down here, and then again on game day on the 10th, all of these score boxes will appear. And again, I want to stress, any team involved here can enter those scores. So let's go back now. I think we're about done, but I do want to go back to Scott County's again, just to see if there's any other points that I would like to make. Now, this does limit who can advance these teams. Since this is on Scott County's schedule, it would be anybody that basically has rights to basketball, girls, boys basketball. Obviously the AD, assistant ADs can do that, Mr. Helton, or even Mr. Wells, the district AD. Anybody can advance, but now Great Crossing would not be able to go in and update the TBAs to the game. So that is the only thing that the tournament manager really has to do, is they do have to change the TBAs to the game times. But you go back here, let's go back to the schedule page. Now again, the girls I don't think play on, they do not play on Wednesday, but since the tournament spans the 10th to the 14th, it's still going to list it. But that's not, I don't think that's that big of a deal at all. But this is where the boys kick in. So the boys start on the 11th. You see I've got the 11th through the 14th, approximate end time of the game there on the 14th. I've got my assigner group, and I did publish it, of course, and I published it at a tournament. Again, when I created it, that was fairly easy to do. And since I'd already set up the Great Crossing as a site, again, that's sites, that's under resources and sites, then I was able to put 6 games on Great Crossing and 6 games on Scott County. I loaded the boys line schedule there so the participants can see that if you want to. I'm sure they'll probably update that after every day. And then basically it's the same thing. On game day on the 11th, the score boxes will pop up here. Any one of these teams can enter the scores, but again, I would contact the assigners and these teams involved and say, ADs, coaches, don't touch anything but enter scores. And I think again, I just want to get a jump on this. On these Christmas tournaments, I had a good question from the AD at Jenkins, and I want to make sure that she sees this, and I'd just like everybody to see this as well. I think that's about it. Thank you a lot.